We've got a jam-packed show for you today. We've got draft intel. I've had some sources talk to me about Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss, and I still don't know where we are on that one. We'll discuss. And finally, we got a Muench hot button we're going to talk to. Plus, Drew Fabianich, the new executive director of the Senior Bowl, stepping in for Jim Nagy, a close friend who took the general manager job at Oklahoma. He's going to join us and talk all things Senior Bowl, which is just a few days away. You know what else is just a few days away? 91 to be exact. That's the 2026 NFL Draft. Muench, you good?
I'm good, man.
Tucker, roll that beat. Before the national championship, and I shared it the night of the national championship. And Drew Fabianich is kind of a man of his word. He's delivered. The Senior Bowl's on a heater today. Have you looked on social media? The McShay Show is presented by FanDuel. Playoff mode is on, and FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and offers to boost your winnings every game day. Don't miss out on any playoff action on FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/McShay. That's FanDuel.com/McShay to get started. Must be 21 and older and present in select states, or 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. We got Bane. Keontae Scott.
Markel Bell. There's a
bunch of guys that are coming in late. A lot of Miami announcements today. We'll wait to hear word on maybe a couple more from Indiana. But it's heartwarming. I told the story. 2009. I was at the Senior Bowl. I didn't think there was a chance. 12-1 USC was. It was the Pete Carroll golden era. But Pete Carroll's whole thing was compete. Competition Wednesdays, I think it was, and just like it was madness. But through that madness, it created like this chaos and this great motivator of competition.
Iron sharpens iron, right?
Iron sharpens iron, and so I'll never forget walking off the game day bus where we would hang out between practices, being like, I know they're on the roster, but I can't imagine that Clay Matthews and Brian Cushing and Ray Malaluga, 3 first-rounders who are 12-1 this season, just won the Rose Bowl. And meanwhile, that was like 3 weeks ago. And then there they go walking right past the fence. And I'm like, they're ready to go. And then the quote from Malaluga is like, I just came here to get discovered. And so when you see this from players like at Miami and from Indiana, it tells you a little bit about the DNA of these individuals and also the programs that Kirk Cignetti and Mario Cristobal, respectively, are building at Indiana and Miami. So really cool to see some of those guys. I mean, the national championship was just a couple days ago, man. And they're like, yeah, football's being played. They're competing. And I've been invited. Yeah, I'm in. Let's go. So it's going to be a fun week in Mobile next week. And by the way, travel is pending right now. We might have to leave on Saturday. I know that gets you all worked up, but Marissa will handle it all for you. Don't worry about it. Got a big storm coming into the South. The South can't handle this.
I'm worried. Yeah, I'm worried.
I know you're always worried, but when you're worried, it means we're in a good place.
I'm more worried. Yeah.
So we've got the new executive director of the Senior Bowl, Drew Fabianich, is going to join us at the end of the show, and we'll ask him a whole bunch of questions. One thing I'm not going to specifically, I never want to compromise what's going on in the moment, right? So I'm going to ask, maybe do you have a couple spots open for some quarterbacks if they're to make a late decision to come? I can say this, and I'm not even going to ask him. I'm going to ask him, is that still a possibility? He'll tell us yes or no. But I've talked to a couple different sources. This is interesting, Mitch. And I don't want to get into the legal jargon that was spit at me today, actually, early today. there's a lot going on in this Chambliss thing. Two different sources I spoke to had two very different opinions on what the outcome is going to have, what's going to happen there. To remind everyone, Trinidad Chambliss, coming off of the magical season at Ole Miss, Division II player at Ferris State, handpicked by Lane Kiffin, comes in, takes over the starting job and doesn't relent it, has an unbelievable season. As the season progresses, we start to see more and more NFL traits out of him. Intelligence, fast processing, big time arm, drilling the ball. Could use a little bit of touch and some intermediate throws, yes. But like the mobility, then towards the end of the season, it's like, whoa, this guy's different. You know, the ability to create, extend, the mental toughness. He had that Georgia fourth quarter meltdown, got a second crack at it, and he was brilliant in the fourth quarter. Not only in that game, but multiple games. Rising up draft boards. And so now he's in this predicament, right? He wants to go back to Ole Miss. And by the way, what's best for him long-term in the NFL, even though the 2027 class could be the best quarterback class ever, is to go get another year of experience in the SEC. So apparently there was a verbal denial of his request for another year. Then there was a written one. And so he technically has been denied his request of another year of eligibility. But he's now taken it to the court system in Mississippi, and he's suing the NCAA. Tom Mars is his lawyer, agent who's representing him. He and another gentleman from the state of Mississippi, a trial lawyer, and they've put in on Friday. They put in a lawsuit, filed it with the courts. And here's the tricky part. And I was given a lot of legalese today, and I'm not going to try to replicate it, okay? Essentially, his argument is, because it's not just about the money, and in fact, what's weird about it is his lawyer is saying there's no NFL representative we've talked to, and talking about scouts, GMs, that kind of thing, that have said he's a first-round pick. So with the second round and beyond payroll structure of a rookie contract, he's going to make X amount of dollars in a 4-year deal. He can make more money in 1 year at Ole Miss. But that's, for whatever reason, to the court is not nearly as impactful as you're robbing him of an opportunity to go have another year in the college environment, play for an Ole Miss team, special memories, lead a team to a SEC. Like, it's interesting. That all aside, I talked to one source who says, it's starting to really look positive. The lawyers he has that are working with him, and the court system being from the state of Mississippi, I think he's going to wind up getting this petition. He's going to get the extra year of eligibility. Another source I talked to said, the clock's ticking. We're being told that we don't think it's going to go, that he's going to win this lawsuit. Of 40 in the last couple of years that have gone through, only 16, I want to say, 14 or 6, I think 14 of the 40 that have folks that have gone and sued the NCAA have won those lawsuits. So it means like 24 or 26 have been won by the NCAA. But the interesting part is you gotta be there on, I think, Saturday or Sunday. I think Saturday, if you want to play in the Senior Bowl. And here we are on Thursday. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but it certainly is an extra layer of intrigue and
yeah.
It's one part concern, one part intrigue, one part I don't know. It's just a fascinating scenario for me. And then you look at the quarterback position this year and the teams that need quarterbacks. And we all know those teams, right? The Raiders are sitting there too. And I'm not even talking about the first round. The Raiders are one of the teams, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously the Jets. The Rams could be looking ahead for in 2027 for a quarterback to maybe get one this year. They have 2 first-round picks. The Browns could be in the market, but maybe wouldn't take one. Maybe we'll wait till next 2027 to get one. Is Arizona in the market? Are there a bunch of other teams that in day 2 would be like, you know what? Let's bring in another guy and let's see where we can get to before 2027 to know if we really need one. Okay. So there we are. You got any, like, I don't know where else to go with it. I just wanted to pass on this information. And I guess at the end of the day, it's still a cloud of uncertainty, but there are people out there who legitimately think he may be there in Mobile next week. And there are other people who are like, oh, he's going to be at Ole Miss. He's going to be at the Grove next year. Like, that's fast. I don't know that we've had anything quite like this before leading up to the Senior Bowl.
Not that I can remember. And I think the problem for him is, what's the image that he presents if he goes to the Senior Bowl, and how does it affect his lawsuit? And does the court look at that as, oh, he's already kind of moving on and he expects this, and maybe they're not supposed to look at it that way? I don't know. It's uncharted waters. You know, can he go to the Senior Bowl and then go back to Ole Miss? Is that a thing? It's complicated. But that being said, I'm with you. This is the kind of prospect that could go to the Senior Bowl and excel and really help himself. And that being said, if he doesn't do that and he comes out, he's really missed an opportunity. So this is tricky. And if he decides,
he could legitimately, and I love Garrett Nussmeier, and I think Garrett Nussmeier is probably going to have the best week of the quarterbacks. We'll see how it plays out. But he could legitimately go down there and be the best quarterback of the 6 quarterback prospects for the NFL.
And win some people over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the first time, the coaches, quarterback coaches, offensive coordinators, head coaches, first time that they get like a real, not just watch it on TV, like actually like get their hands on them, get their eyes on it. Like, I don't know. It's wild, the timing of it all and what's at stake, you know, and how many organizations are really like keeping a close eye on this thing.
And again, you just go back to the age of these young men and the decisions they have to make and all the directions they're being pulled in. It's great that they've created these opportunities for themselves, and he's created this opportunity for himself. But man, it's freaking brutal. Like, am I doing the right thing? I mean, he knows what he wants to do. He clearly wants to go back to school, and I think that's the right move in terms of his development. But you also have to deal with reality. And if the reality is that's no longer an option, then it's time to move on and do your thing, kid, because you actually have a chance to move up some boards. It's tough, and I think it's unfair. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, it just seems unfair.
No, I know. I wanted to share that information so that everyone else could be kind of in the know of what's actually going on, which is, I'm not breaking news there, but there are people who are like, these aren't just people who are like, I went to Ole Miss, I'm really hopeful. Like, these are people who are actually like are perimeter involved and have a lot of information, right. and how different the outcome that they believe is going to happen is from another. I was really taken back by that. All right, another thing I want to touch on, because I mentioned that the Senior Bowl was on a social media heater today, announcing name after name from the national championship game. A lot of the Miami guys today, and I suspect I'm very well in the know that we're going to hear a couple more names and maybe Indiana players as well. I'm in love with the fact that Ruben Bain, as I just talked about, is going to play there. I'm in love with the fact that Keontae Scott and everyone else from Miami, but especially Ruben Bain and Akeem Messidor.
Yep.
Not only that they're both projected first rounders, and yeah, there's some scouts who have a second on Bain and or a second on Messidor, but I think the league consensus, if you will, or the league, if you were to throw all the grades in, they're both very probable first rounders. And honest to goodness, I think Bain could be a top 10 pick the way he played down the stretch for Miami. But it's not just where they're projected, it's how many games they've played, and then 16. And then how hard those suckers played. You know what I mean? It's not like, I don't know. They were 2 of the hardest playing players. If you give me 10 guys you think were played the hardest and like the most, like snaps, effort, chasing, I would put those 2 guys on the list. And they're like, yeah, give me my helmet back. Let me go. Give me a clean one so I can put all the other stickers on. But let's go.
Miami's not rotating players like Tennessee was last year along their defensive front. Like, that's just not a thing for that Miami team, man. It's the games, and then I don't have the snaps in front of me, but it's got to be a high number. I mean, those guys seem like they're never coming off the field. So it's just rare.
It is. But so I'm looking at that, and it's like, just by saying yes and showing up, I'm like more in love with those guys, right? And it brought me to thinking today, and I want to touch on this, and I know you got something you're hot on too after. Last year, we talked about this edge class. And I'm not trying to compare them. We have a whole draft season to do this. But sometimes you wonder, all right, like the running back class last year was so outstanding. It wasn't record-setting, but it was pretty damn close. And I think it was 6 guys in the first 3 rounds, and then we saw just an avalanche of running backs, like 19 or 20 guys come off the board at day 3. And a lot of those guys productive as rookies this year. But then this year you see kind of an attrition, like a bunch of guys left early. It's not the same, and a bunch of young backs in college football. Maybe we'll have a great class a year from now in 27. The edge class, which you could argue, a lot of people would argue, outside of quarterback, the highest positional value out there. And to see last year when we had Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker, Mykel Williams, Shamar Stewart, James Pierce, all first rounders. Then even early into the second round, we had Ezaraku from BC, JTT from Ohio State, Nick Scorton, Oladejo. Now this year I'm looking at this class and being like, all right, yeah, maybe there's not like that Myles Garrett or a Bosa brother or, one of those guys.
Right.
But we're looking at David Bailey from Texas Tech, Ruben Bain, see in Mobile, Keldrick Falk from Auburn, Akeem Mesidor from Miami, see you in Mobile.
Is these your rankings?
Nah, sort of, maybe.
They're
certainly
mine.
not official. I just wrote down some notes and put them on paper. Like
that. Those are my rankings so far as you're rattling them off.
But yes, those are my top 4 in that order. After that, it is absolutely not my rankings. I just started jotting down names. But here's some other names. And a lot of them, and this is what I want to transition to, a lot of them are going to be in Mobile, man. And I love this. TJ Parker, Clemson. R. Mason Thomas, Oklahoma. I think he's nicked up, obviously, the injury at the end of the year. I don't know that he's going to play, but he was invited. And at one point, I thought he was going to try to play. Zion Young, Missouri, Mobile. Cassius Howell, hand injury, not likely to play, not playing, but wanted to play and was invited and accepted, but like just couldn't do it. And then had to kind of, it's just, and by the way, I get on my soapbox about this stuff. If you've got a legitimate injury and you put a bunch of tape out there, you only get one shot at the combine and all that, and it's not worth going out there and risking re-injury, affecting your training, and most importantly for them as an individual, putting tape out there against top competition where you don't feel like you're 100%. If you do it respectfully, call the people as a man, stand up, call the right people. That word gets passed from Drew Fabianich, the new executive director, to every one of the 32 teams. And there's a list. There are 2 lists. There's like a pros and cons list. On one side, you got the guys who handle their business like men. On the other side, you got guys who chose not to, maybe had someone call for them, maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe the guys who showed up for a day and then took off or whatever it is. You find out about the character and the competition level and those sorts of things with all these postseason events. But anyway, Cassius Howell is one of those guys, respectfully, injury, not going to be able to play. Joshua Josephs, Derek Moore, Mobile, coming out of
keep an eye on Derek Moore.
Derek Moore,
he could have a big week.
Right?
That's he's one of the guys I think might pop down there.
Romello Height, the pass rusher extraordinaire opposite David Bailey. A little undersized, but the guy can flat out rush. So all of those guys, more, and I'm not saying all of those are going to be first and second, but a lot of them are. This edge class, my point is like, it's got some substance to it. And I think next week is going to weed out some stuff too.
I would like to know who has a 2nd round grade on Bain and Mesidor. I would like to know. I would like to meet that.
Oh, I have in my head.
I would like 3
different names of scouts I talked to this fall.
I'd like to watch tape with them. I want to know what's going on there. Because what am I missing? Like I Mesidor especially because it feels like Bain. I think he's going to go early, but with Mesidor, it seems like there's some debate about whether he is in the 1st or 2nd. I've seen that, and then I watch tape and I'm like this guy really? Edges go, man. This dude is a Tasmanian devil. I don't understand how you wouldn't take a chance on that in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, there's the age thing, I guess.
He's been banged up at times during his career, but when he's healthy, he's productive and he's violent and he's powerful and he's versatile. Like, I don't know, man. It screams first round pick to me.
But this is an exciting group, you know?
Yeah.
And there's I don't know. I could keep going on. Dan's already yelling at me behind the glass. I give away too much. The McShay report is out. 2-part series we did. 2-part series. Yesterday was part 1. Covered a lot of the buzz that actually wound up coming true today. And part 2 is just hit. Okay. So it literally just dropped. If you're watching this when this show first came out, it just dropped. So it was Wednesday and Thursday. The McShay report, Google it, subscribe. It's go time, folks. Okay. We're going to be ahead of a lot of this stuff all season long. And we kind of watch a little tape and we feel good about what we're going to provide for you for the next few months. If you have any interest from a college standpoint, NFL standpoint, just love the NFL draft, it's here. I promise you. I've worked at some other places a bit. It's like you're going to get the best stuff here, and that newsletter is my baby. You know.
That's the first time I've heard that. That's great.
All right. You told me you're hot on something. I love when you're hot on something. So just go.
I have been on this position group for years now, and really the last 3 or 4. And we are in the golden era of tight ends, man. Let me just read these names to you.
Okay.
Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, Tucker Kraft, Jake Ferguson, Harold Fannin, Brenton Strange, and Aronde Gadsden, all of these tight ends drafted in the last 4 draft cycles. There is just a wave of talent at tight end coming into the league. I don't even mention Elijah Arroyo, our guy from Miami who went to Seattle last year, and Terrence Ferguson from Oregon, who ended up with the Rams, who had kind of quiet rookie years. But go look at Trey McBride's rookie year and then look at his second year in the league. These guys are talented. I'm still betting on them to reach their
Did you mention Gunnar Helm?
Didn't even mention your guy Gunnar Helm. There's other guys in there, Todd, that I could
one of the more productive ones, despite like a lot of problems in that Tennessee offense and team.
He had a nice year. You would not believe, like, some of these numbers that these guys, like,
as a 4th round pick.
I know, Aronde Gadsden, man,
120 overall, and was one of the more productive tight ends.
Preach.
Yeah,
preach. I named like 100 people, but here comes another freaking wave of tight ends. This class.
Tell me about it, Muench.
Obviously, Oregon's Kenyon Sadiq is the name, and he should be at the top of the list. Then you got Max Clare from Ohio State. Joe Royer from Cincinnati.
Pause. I do, because this is important. I do feel like if you're just now coming into this thing and you're kind of keep an eye on the draft, but really an NFL fan or really a college football fan, I do think the perception out there is it's a one tight end draft.
Oh,
Debunk that. Yeah. Because there is probably going to be one first rounder unless someone does something massive, Senior Bowl, Combine, all that stuff. But a lot of those guys you named are 2nd, 3rd, 4th round picks. And I think that's where the strength is, right?
Yeah. I mean, you look at, I was going to bring up, I just said Max Clare from Ohio State.
Yep.
Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt is a little undersized, but he is a talented receiver. We're going to see Justin Jolly from North Carolina State. We're going to see Sam Roush from Stanford down at the Senior Bowl. Dallin Bentley, a guy from Utah that I feel like no one's talking about. A big frame, can make plays in the passing game. Another Utah tight end. There are guys up and down this board that can make plays in the league. I am fascinated by all the talent that's coming in at tight end in the last 4 to 5 draft cycles. And what's interesting to me is it kind of matches up, and you don't want to give someone too much credit, but I heard Stanford Steven on his pod the other day talking to Van Pelt about what Travis Kelce has done for the tight end position and how he has made it cool. And I think this is, the tight end, maybe not just Kelce, maybe some of these other guys that have made the tight end position more glamorous, more of a receiving position.
Yeah, chicks dig the deep ball. Chicks dig the deep ball, and big
tight end
catch the ball.
Tight end you. the tight end position has evolved, man. It has turned into something different than we were watching Mark Bavaro with the Giants decades ago. These guys are playmakers. They are like just big, graceful athletes that make plays in the passing game. And I think you're seeing that from kids wanting to play the position, more athletes wanting to play that position. And it's showing up in the depth of these tight end classes that we're seeing in the last 4 or 5
I do think the depth is what's really intriguing, because it used to be there are three. I can remember like just a few years, like maybe 3 years ago, there would be 2 or 3 guys, and then maybe 1 or 2 that could like, he's a blocking tight end. We'll take him in the 5th. He's just an F. We'll take him in the 5th, 6th. Maybe can move him around as like an H. And now, like Kenyon Sadiq, Bentley is, I think, the most. Bentley is. I've started a little bit of tape on him. Bentley might be the guy where everyone's like, "Oh, where'd he come from?"
Yep.
Okay.
It's
Joe Royer, Cincinnati. Max Clare, you talked about. Jack Endries, who I like a lot out of Texas.
I didn't bring up Endries, yeah.
Eli Raridan, Notre Dame. Sam Roush from Stanford, you talked about. Kazmarek from Ohio State. The other, DeAndre Rogers, this Texas Christian kid's pretty good.
Yep.
Joshua Cuevas, even at Alabama, just like consistent, reliable.
Day 3 guy who we're going to see making plays in the playoffs in a couple of years, where you're just going to be like, yep, he's just steady Eddie. There he is making plays.
Some guys like from North Carolina State. Yeah, Jolly. It's an intriguing class.
I'm telling you, man.
Oh, you know who else I love? You know how I found this guy? Pete Sousa. We went to school with him at University of Richmond. We played a teammate of ours. I was actually roommates with him for a year. Wild. He now does a lot of television, and he does a lot of stuff for ESPN, basketball, football games. But he also does during the season a Big 12 show. He's down in Texas, right? San Antonio. Getting married this year. Congratulations, Pete.
Congrats.
Yeah, he's getting married at Villanova this summer. But Tanner Koziol from Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Big cat. And I remember going on, he wanted to talk about some prospects in the Big 12, like early in the season. And I saw his name on the scouting list, on the national scouting list. And so I'm going to plug him in. And so I watched some tape on him. I forget the exact backstory. I'll have it for you later. But whether it was a basketball background, he's just this massive dude. And and he can actually move. And you can tell he's still kind of working through it. But you talk about a developmental day 3 guy, and he's going to be down in Mobile. I'm excited to see him in this environment.
It is a stacked group, and it's been, I can't remember a run like this on tight ends. I cannot remember. And the year before, I only went back 4 cycles. The cycle before that was Kyle Pitts, who finally started to do some things that we thought he could do coming out. It is the talent at tight end coming into this league, how offense coordinators are going to use that and adjust. I look at the Rams offense we always talk about Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Look at that tight end group that the Rams have. It is loaded. I'm fascinated by how this is developing and what it's going to do for offenses.
Drew Fabianich took over the job of our good friend Jim Nagy. He's got bona fides for days. Cowboys forever, longtime coach, longtime scout, GM at Auburn, kind of on the front end of this GM movement in the college game. He's been and it's critical of that position. You're dealing with agents, it's wild because this position, in my opinion, the league should chip in money and it should be a couple $1 million a year job. And I'm not joking because of how important it is for all 32 NFL teams that feed off of this thing, the media market, the individual players that benefit from it, right? And the coordination that it takes to not only have an eye for talent and experience and have done that, then to coordinate as a general manager all the other scouts that are there working for the Senior Bowl, then to do the circuit, the media circuit, and to be basically an elected official for the city of Mobile, which hosts this game and is like no other. And then to all the details, getting everything lined up, dealing with those agents, it's wild what Drew does in this new job. And we know, like, I've always known what that responsibility was, and then I really got to know it with Jim and the stories and everything that you go through. So great appreciation for Drew, and great appreciation that he's joining our show today. And like, I'm so fired up. Let's get to it, because I like the amount of information and the kind of the drama and the build up going into this week's Senior Bowl, and throw in a massive storm coming through the South. I love drama. I've learned that about myself. I'm ticking closer to 50. The older I get, the more I like drama. I like intrigue, and we got a bunch of it for the Senior Bowl. So let's bring on Drew. And there he is. Drew, how you doing, man?
Good, Todd. Doing great. How you doing, Steve?
Doing well, man. You busy?
Yeah. Just made the decision to change 54 flights because of this weather.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What a logistic nightmare. I'm sure that's why you got into this, is so you could work on all this travel stuff.
Storm chasing.
Well, put it this way. I made the call on it. Jack Gilmore is taking care of that, which, God bless him. He's working with, the travel agent to try to get that done. I've got a fantastic staff. I mean, Jim did a great job of who he hired in the first place, and then I brought in 3 more people that, handle a lot of things that needed to be handled. And it's running like a well-oiled machine till we run into Mother Nature.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, maybe live in different parts of the country, we're expecting a big storm. I mean, basically, it looks like from the radar, I feel like I'm minor in weather. I love checking out the weather, but it looks like the entire country, like the middle of the country, is about to get hit with a massive storm. And if anyone's been in the South in a snowstorm, it's not treated. It causes all sorts of problems. It's not like being up in the Northeast. So that's one logistical factor that you didn't have to, nobody could prepare for. No. It sounds like you've got it figured out. I'm curious, before we get to the players, which I think most people watching this are really excited to kind of hear your takes and what's going on, the latest updates. I'm curious about this schedule change, man. I know our production team is kind of like, all right, well, what are we going to, but for coaches, scouts, people there, I think the media in general, tell us what the decision was, but I know it's been very much welcomed by the community that will be down there, which is basically the entire NFL and the media covering it.
Well, and you know what's funny? I mean, Todd, I didn't do it for everybody else. I really did it for the players, because the first thing when I came down, I looked at the schedule and I said, is there any reason why we're doing the formal interviews at night? Is there not space to do it somewhere else? And they're like, well, no. I was like, well, what if you push practice back and, and this and that? And I just started tweaking things and asking them questions. I didn't want to be a heavy lift. And after a while, it was like, there was no reason for us not to do it. And the reason why it came up in my mind, and because I did this for 18 straight years, and 12 of it was formal interviews, and started at 7, finished at 10:30. And when I got done, I wanted to stick an ice pick in my head. I didn't want to do one. I did not want to do one thing after it. Everybody go, hey, you want to go grab a drink or what? I was like, no, I don't. I'm done. I'm toast. And I went, if I felt that bad, I bet you the players feel even worse, because they're getting asked the same asinine question 32 times, and they're trying to put on a happy face and answer it and be nice about it. But then they get done, they go, ooh, I mean, glad, it's over with, but they're spent, because the other piece of it, agents said they could never get to their clients because every second was accounted for here. And I get that. And it was, and they really couldn't even get to them at night either. They couldn't get to them in the morning. They wanted to get to him after practice, and I'm like, sorry, you can't get to him after practice because we've got to get him back to the hotel, And so I did this for the players, but what happened is now, and you guys know this that have been down here, this used to be like the unofficial NFL coaches convention. Used to be.
Yeah.
Until the formal interviews started happening, and they went, well, I can't go out with my boys. I can't meet any people. I can't lobby for a job. I can't network, so I'll just go to the combine interview these guys because they're all going to be at the combine. So the coaches stopped coming. Well, now I find out that once the GMs and once we announced what we were doing, they said the coach engagement has went up like 80%. They want to come back, which will help them in the evaluation process too, because they're still going to get the interview, but they're going to get practice. Now they're going to come down here and network for a job. Player personnel people get freed up. The agents get freed up. The player gets freed up about 8:30 at night. And now there's no excuse for you to say, well, I don't have time with my players. Now you do.
Let's get right into it with the quarterbacks. There's 6 on the roster now. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that things are changing pretty quickly. But I've got Garrett Nussmeier, who we're thrilled to see, hopefully healthy and ready to go, and all had a lot higher grades on him coming into the year, and excited for him to be able to go and showcase his skills down in Mobile. Beyond that, Sawyer Robertson, who's one of my favorites from Baylor, Diego Pavia, who everyone knows is one of the faces of college football this past year at Vanderbilt. Luke Altmaier from Illinois, Taylon Green, Arkansas, and Cole Payton from North Dakota State. Could there be any more quarterbacks? I'm not trying to get name reveals right now, but could there be any more quarterbacks? And after you answered that, could you kind of fill us in on what you're excited to see from that quarterback group?
There could be 2 more. I'm waiting on 2 more. I have those spots, waiting for them. We have the interview spots waiting for them. If they don't come, we'll run with 6. If they do come, we'll run with 8. I'm okay with it either way. But I think both of them could benefit from being down here. And I think they understand that. I think there's just some things we have to navigate to get them here.
Interesting.
I'm thrilled to death with the group. I saw most of these guys at the Manning Academy last summer. The one that I've got background with is Garrett Nussmeier, because I worked with Doug with the Cowboys for the time we were there. I've known him since he's 15 years old. Love Garrett to death. Saw him spin it, and I've seen him spin it for a long time. And I knew I was gonna invite him in August. I did. Now I didn't invite him till November, when we invited everybody else. But regardless of the year that he had, I can't unsee what I saw, Todd. That's 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns. Again, you always have to look at, when you're evaluating players, why.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you go, they couldn't run the ball. The receivers they brought in from the portal, a couple of them showed up, but not as impactful as they should have been. They couldn't protect him. They took a lot of shots, and he was hurt almost the entire year. And he gutted it out as long as he could. And, I've got a lot of compassion for that, because I know what he is. And I think he's going to show everybody what he is again. And everybody's going to go, gosh, I'm so surprised. Well, no, you shouldn't be. Sawyer Robertson is one of the best pure passers in this whole group. You don't know how hard it was for him this year, because they could not run the football. And they were always in a shootout, because he'd have to put up 35 to 38 points per game just to have a chance to win. Taylon Green, saw him throw down there. Dual threat guy. His stroke's getting better. His accuracy's getting better. The kid from North Dakota State, Cole is a 1-year guy. But the league's interested in him because he was really productive, and he's a dual threat guy, which a lot of teams are starting to take more interest in the dual threat guys. Luke Altmaier has been steady throughout his career at Illinois. Saw him down at the Manning Academy too, and I'm going like, he looks smaller on tape than he does in person. He's a bigger man than you think. And I think people will be impressed with how ball comes out of his hand. I'm trying to remember who am I missing, Todd? Am I missing one more?
Altmaier, Green, Payton. Sawyer Robertson, Pavia.
Pavia.
Oh yeah, Pavia. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you watch tape, it's good tape. And they do a really good job of using his skill set. Jerry Kill and the offensive coordinator, Coach Lee, they didn't ask him to do things he couldn't do. And being a short quarterback, you can't see. You can't see. And he's not going to be your prototypical drop back guy, pocket guy. He's going to have to be an RPO guy, move the pocket, use his legs, and, take advantage of his skill set. And a team's got to be willing to do that. But you're going to see when you come down, he's not deficient arm strength wise at all. It comes out pretty well. And he improved his accuracy this year too. And like I said, the tape's good. And guess what? Like Cignetti, he wins. He wins.
I got one more I really want to ask you, and then I know Steve's itching to ask you some questions as well. I wrote today on social media, like, Senior Bowl's on a heater. Because these national championship guys, you got to remember, we're talking just hours ago, finished playing their season, 16-game seasons. I remember back to 2009, right? When I saw on the roster Ray Malaluga, Cushing, Matthews, and I said to myself, they're saying they're coming. Are they really gonna come out and practice every day and go through it? And then I remember watching them walk through that fence onto the field, and then I remember hearing them in an interview, and I think it was Malaluga who's like, "I just wanted to come down here to get discovered." Like, what the hell is he talking about? He's like, because they don't know me practicing against elite players every day. They don't know what I do in practice. So it was just that mindset. And Pete Carroll that was his whole thing. Competition is a great motivator. And I feel like with Indiana and Miami, they're two programs that have a lot of that kind of same competitive, just eager to do everything right and love the game. So to see some guys from the national championship game already saying, yeah, I'm in. I want to come compete. I don't care. Yeah, I played the other day, but there's a chance to go play ball and I can show everyone what I can do. I'm in. And the biggest name, I think, you've gotten to know him, so you maybe not as surprised as the public, like Ruben Bain coming to play in the Senior Bowl. That's a huge get, and I just want you to speak to kind of what it's been like talking to some of those guys from Miami and Indiana as they are fresh off of that national championship game.
And again, just going to everybody else, I'll kind of save Ruben for last. Guys that, can do this after 16 games, and put it this way, there may be some that tap out because they're beat up. 16 games, and a long season. It's as long as an NFL season because it's not 16 weeks. It's like 24 weeks. If some of these guys tap out, I get it. And it's good because they're beat up, they got injuries, they want to put on a good, outing. And sometimes, they may not be 100%. And I don't want them down here if they're not 100% because I want them to put on the best show that they possibly can with their abilities. I do. With Indiana and with Miami, it is a warrior mentality now. And that's what the league wants to see. They want to see you go through the process. And this is the first part of the process. The draft starts in Mobile. That is no BS because they want to see you show up. They want to see you interview. They want to see you practice. They want to see you play, right? Then they want you to go to the combine and then go to your pro day and then get a 30 visit if you need to, if they need you to. And guess what? That's because you're checking all the boxes. They want to see that you're accountable. You're mature. You understand it. You love the game because that shows you love the game. And the part of this that you guys know and a lot of people have said, if you don't love this game, an NFL building, an NFL locker room will eat your ass alive. Yeah. And it will weed you out in a second because those guys are there feeding their family. They're not playing for the money. They're playing for their livelihood and their family and the money's great, but guess what? You're going to take my money, okay? And nobody's going to hold your hand in an NFL locker room. Nobody. And if you're mature, you take care of your business, you do what you're supposed to do, you don't lose money, you don't get fined, you don't get cut. So this shows them, the whole process shows them what you want. And it's just checking the boxes, right? And the more boxes you can check, the more your value sustains or goes higher. Now with Ruben, he's been a warrior since day one. I recruited the heck out of him when I was the GM at Auburn. And I think I actually had a legitimate chance of getting him because I was going to get Keldrick too. And I was selling, hey, we're going to get 3 or 4 dudes here. And, once I get fired, he was like, I'm not coming to Auburn. Told him I'm not coming. There's no way I'm coming without Fabe not being there. I was like, appreciate you, Rubes, but, you didn't have to do that. Well, he accepted the invitation. It started December, but we didn't announce it till after because I didn't want to be a distraction, to him or anybody else. If they checked the box and said, do not, announce right now, we didn't announce right now. But he announced, he jumped at it in December. So did Keontae. So did, Jacoby. Jacoby said it was okay to announce it. Messador said, go ahead and announce it. We got a couple more out there. We just picked up, Markel Bell. Guys that have played through that and are willing to do this part of it shows what's important in their life. And what's important is showing the league how important this game is to them. And I'm not going to say it's just those guys. I think those coaches have instilled that in those players because when people say warrior, nah, you play 10 games, you play 16 games in 20, 23, 24 weeks, you're a damn warrior. And that's what the league is. And you heard the rookie wall, 12 games. The 12 games, they're like, whew,
Yeah, yeah.
Now these guys are playing 16 and they're coming to an all-star game too. I mean, hey, that rookie wall may not be part of their DNA anymore. So I'm thrilled to death with all of them. Seriously, I'm thrilled to death with the entire roster. I really, truly am. But there's some guys that I have ties to that I've recruited and that I know that I've spent time with, have personal relationships with them. And I want to do what's best for them. I really do. And if I didn't think this was beneficial for guys, I tell them, hey, don't come. Because there's some quotes and comments, like, why does a guy like him need to come? Well, because going from pick 15 to pick 10 is about $6.5 million difference in a 4-year contract.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. So if you're the player, you're the agent, isn't that a good business decision? I mean,
yeah, no question.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, and the perfect one was, the Grace Abel kid from last year. I mean, the league had him as a top of the 3rd round guy. And he goes at 18, and he didn't go at 18 because of his pro day. He went to 18 because of this game. And, that's $12.2 million difference in a 4-year contract. 12.2.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to bring up Zabel because, you look at college football today, and it feels like the transfer portal is consolidating power, right? But the Senior Bowl has a long tradition history of identifying small school players. And you've got a guy coming there you invited named Delby Lemieux from Dartmouth. Talk to me about that process of still finding these players. I mean, everyone's transferring, right? But you found an offensive tackle at an Ivy League school who I don't want to make it sound like, you're doing him a favor. I mean, he's earned the right to go there, but can you talk about the player a little bit and the process of inviting a player like that to the game?
Well, I had and again, I'll kind of backtrack a little bit too, Steve, on this. The portal and P4 has actually done my job and done the NFL's job for them on the small college guys.
Yes.
Because the small college guys, I mean, there used to be like 50 to 60 guys outside of, P4 and G5 that, you'd go look at. I mean, I've been to Kutztown, I've been to, North Carolina A&T or whatever. I mean, I went everywhere every once in a while, for a certain player. But now it's like, I mean, I got a little birdie in my ear that said, hey, there may be a guy at Dartmouth playing tackle. And so I pop on the tape, I watch him play tackle. He looked really thin. And I went, okay, he's a really, really good athlete, and guess what? He's good in space and he actually moves people. I said, but he's Ivy League, and I'm kind of kicking him a little bit. Well, I keep watching the tape this year and I go, oh, he got a little bit bigger. He's getting better, and I'm going like, well, wait a minute. So I mentioned something to 2 area scouts in the Northeast. Well, they say, I'm going into Dartmouth now. Well, then that started an avalanche. And it was like, okay, now that area scout talks to another area scout. The area scouts talk. I mean, it just kept building and building and building. And I'm not saying I discovered him. I didn't. My little birdie that had a son there at Dartmouth said, you may want to look at this kid. And I did. Well, I said the guy needs to be a center. And I told his agent, which is he's kind of an offensive line specialist kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'm going to put his hand on the ball. He's going to be doing that from day one as soon as he gets done. And he's going to play center here. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love when that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, Zabel
I didn't do
the
it,
same
Steve.
thing.
Yeah, but I'm not, put it this way. I didn't find him. Okay. All I did is identify him and then say something to the league. And then all of a sudden it starts going like this. And it was always that way when you were scouting. If you said something about, hey, I really like such and such and such and such, well, it wasn't going to you. It was going to about 50 other dudes, because there's no secrets, because scouts can't help it. They talk too much.
We know.
Right.
Yeah, they talk way too much, and it's like, guess what? I mean, I got nothing. I mean, put it this way, the first time I said something about him, some of the guys go, well, we don't have him yet. Well, by the time I got to after the October meetings that the league had with their scouts, they're like, oh yeah, we got draftable grades on this guy. I'm like, yeah, could have told you that.
That's cool.
I mean, this ain't my first rodeo.
Another group of players, there's the small school players. Another group of players that's really interesting to me when I look at this roster is, and he kind of talked about this with some of the quarterbacks, but there are players that came into the year who had high rankings and maybe didn't have the year that we want them to have. I'm specifically thinking of Clemson's TJ Parker, the edge, and I'm thinking of Oklahoma running back Jaden Ott. These guys didn't have great years, but you still decided to invite them. What goes into that kind of a process? Why did you make the decision to bring in that kind of a player? I'm excited to see both of them.
The TJ Parker thing goes back to the Garrett Nussmeier thing. I can't unsee what I saw the year before.
Yeah,
I mean, right. I'm going like this dude's a top 15 pick. Well, for whatever reason, I mean, you look at the front, you look at how they used him. I mean, again, when I personally called him, he couldn't wait to sign up. He said, I got something to prove. He's like, I didn't have a good year. And I love hearing that, with Ott, this goes back to me being a GM and trying to get him out of the portal out of Cal. And again, I saw him play at Cal and I went, he's got all the traits to be a change of pace back. Now, for whatever reason, he played a little bit at Oklahoma. He got hurt. He played a little bit. He didn't get a lot of touches. And again, there was nothing negative. I just think it was the wrong fit. And nobody said, hey, he's not capable. They all said, hey, there's a reason why he was here. The reason why we signed him. So, I think that he's going to be not a big surprise, but a very big surprise, just athletically and just the way he moves in space, because he's going to be a really good change of pace back. He is.
I think of all the positions, edge might be the strongest, right? but the running back position, for some reason, I feel like there's a perfect blend of big name guys, talent, obviously, and then guys who you feel like they're just scratching the surface, while other guys, what they can be, but maybe something happened this year where there's a setback. I'm going to rip off some names for you. Nicholas Singleton from Penn State, unbelievably talented, catches the ball big, fast. Katron Allen from Penn State as well, had a better season than Singleton. Doesn't have the skill set, but a powerful back, and we know what he can do. Rashul Faison, a little bit of, I think, one of those guys that is underrated at this point, coming out of South Carolina. Jamari Taylor, small school guy, HBCU guy, goes to Virginia, and this guy's just brutally tough to tackle. Adam Randall, I saw a receiver playing running back early this season, and then I saw a guy who is developing running back instincts. Le'Veon Moss was one of the best backs in the country when healthy, and then just was dealing with injury. And you just talked about Jaden Ott. Can you walk through the group and kind of what you're excited about and maybe what people should expect?
You just gave a hell of a scouting report for most every single one of them.
I can't help myself sometimes. Sorry. I should just listen to them.
The lucky piece that I had is I lined up against those guys from Penn State twice, right? And you're so correct. Nick Singleton was down this year. I don't know why. The offensive line was actually pretty good. Katron had a better year than he normally has. Katron's a pounder. He is one of those guys that's not going to be a jump cut guy. He's going to be a one cut guy, and he's going to be a pounder. Is he a change of pace guy? Is he a third down guy? We'll see, because he doesn't catch the ball very often. Nick Singleton is a complete back, and don't know what happened, don't care. But I know he's going to show everybody the same skill set that you saw, I saw, everybody else has seen in the past. Le'Veon Moss, you're right. Love the vision, love the burst, love the balance. And I think he's going to be a complete back too. I think he's a 3-down guy. Just wasn't healthy, and last year didn't get a lot of touches. So again, if he's healthy and gets a lot of touches, he could be an impactful guy on any team. Jamari Taylor, as you said, what I like about him, he runs through side contact. He runs his yards after contact is big. He's a hard tackle, feeder in the ground all the time. And, he's almost Sproles-ish, but he's actually almost a little bit thicker than he is upstairs. Sproles was, really thick down low, kind of almost Maurice Jones-Drew kind of, looking, but even, that kind of power and balance, and coming from North Carolina, Central, again, they're doing my job for me. And so they're doing it for the league. You find a guy from there and you bring him to Virginia and he's really successful. Mike Washington. Big back. I mean, more than just a pounder, and he just kind of broke onto the scene too. Didn't have a lot of background to his story, but again, I like big backs. I do. But I got to.
You like big players. Let's call it what it is. I looked at this roster. There's a bunch of big, like every big receivers, big corners, you have, and a lot of guys in the league do, and for good reason. History has shown us, but there is definitely an emphasis
bias.
on
bias.
Sure.
Yes. There's a bias there, and I call them hair on fire guys too. I got a bias for hair on fire guys. But the big guys come from, and I'm giving him credit because credit's due. Bill Parcells, I mean, tore me out of the frame like in front of everybody. And when I brought up a smaller guy, I said, well, he's a corner, he's a safety, he's a punt returner, he's a receiver. I mean, he's done everything. He's like, I'm just rattling off. He goes, how big is he? I said, 5'10". And he says, how many years you coach? I said, 18 years, coach. He says, obviously not effing enough. Right. And he said, because small guys wear down, big guys don't get any smaller. And he also said, you got to be big because you're built to last, and you're going to be able to play in November, which makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's a big man's game. And, I've got selected guys in certain positions that are, they're not walk on water guys, but they're special, for their size. And again, you got to have certain, pieces that fit for those smaller guys. Now, they're not tiny, they're just smaller. So there's a place for them. But again, I'm really biased. And those corners, they're all big, but two of them. I mean, all of them. There is not, other than two, I don't think there's one under 6 foot tall, if I remember right. So, there's a bias.
It's Colton Hood, Malik Muhammad, Chris Johnson, Igbinosun, Davison and Igbinosun from Ohio State. They're all 6'1", 6'2", above. Will Lee, 6'1".
You're forgetting two.
Who?
Ephesians and Takero are 6'4", both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And even that Charles Demings guy, you like him from Stephen F. Austin.
I do. I kind of call him. I've kind of said he's almost like a small school Malik Muhammad because he didn't have the resources. He looks thin. I think he is thin. I think he's thin framed. He's not. He needs mass. He needs more, overall strength. But he's got the same kind of silky smooth movements as Malik does. And for his length, he's got really, really good foot speed and comes out of it really well. Doesn't waste a lot of steps in a transition, doesn't waste a lot of steps in his turn. And I think he's going to show a lot of people he belongs. I think he's going to, put it this way, I think he's 2 years down the line that he's a starter in the league. Right now, I think he's just his body just needs to develop. He needs the nutrition. He needs to, because again, Stephen F. doesn't have the resources that Texas does or any other P4 school does. I like him. I like Chris Johnson. And I don't consider Chris Johnson a, small school guy, but San Diego State doesn't have the resources that other schools do either. I keep telling McShay about Johnson. I keep telling my kids about Johnson, my wife about Johnson, anyone who will listen to me. I think that Chris Johnson's got a chance to be a starter early on in the league. I think his tape is outstanding. Yeah, and he's really instinctual, which I really, really like. I'm trying to remember
his man zone versatility, the ability to play both really stood out to me. Yeah, but his instincts kind of reminded me of Casey Hayward.
Yeah,
that's just the eyes and just the instincts of just tracking and just. He's got ball production because he's got intuition and skills, and that's hard to teach. So
more comfortable than a lot of corners I've seen in college with his back towards the quarterback. When he turns and runs, he's a guy that doesn't panic. He can get his head turned around. It really jumped out when I was watching him compared to maybe some of the other guys in this class.
No doubt, but like I said, he tracks really well. He tracks like you said. He tracks when he's in phase, whether he's in the front hip or the back hip, and he's got a little bit of Richard Sherman kind of intuition when to get the eyes back too on the hands. So I'm not displeased, put it this way, in the least. And I know the corner class is they say, oh well, there's not like 6 guys high. Yeah, but there's probably about 10 dudes that are starters in the league.
Yeah,
and guess what? If I get that guy in the third round, who cares? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, because guess what? I didn't have to spend the money to get him in the first, did I? You know? So spend it on somebody else. So,
Muench, what else you got, man? I've got one I want to finish on. So anything else you got?
I was gonna get into Demings with you. I got into the guys that the small school guys that I want to get into, Demings and Lemieux. I want to get into Parker and Ott. I'm good. The only thing I was gonna ask you though is, what's been the biggest challenge for you? I mean, with all these players we can talk about, what has been the biggest challenge for you in year one? I could see you got your head down. Was this the wrong question to ask?
no, it's just, and I'll say this in the nicest way.
Can I guess? So if you take some heat off
I know you're going to
Does it start with an A?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And end with an S.
Yes. I'll say it this way. Too many agents talk to too many area scouts. Okay. Area scouts don't see the entire country, and they give grades out to these agents, and these agents take it as gospel. And I'm going like, one would say, hey, I got a receiver from such and such, and he's a second rounder. I go, no, he's like a fourth. There's 12 guys that are better than him, right? And they go, well, we still have second round grades on him. Okay, well, guess what? In the fourth round, I'll call you and say, guess what? I know I'm right because I see everybody. And they don't listen because they think all I'm trying to do is get him to play in the game. And it's this simple for me. If you're not a top 5 pick, you should play in this damn game because you can make money. Bottom line. And if you don't believe that, just watch the guys that are going to be here that are, quote, tie-in seconds or back-in first that end up being at pick 15 because of this game. Just watch.
Happens every year.
Yeah. Well, and there's one that told me, he goes, he doesn't need to play in the game. He said, he's got first-round grades. I said, there's nobody in this league that got first-round grades on this guy. I said, I'm just telling you. Because I got 5 or 6 directors that I'm close friends with. Nobody. And he listened to somebody, and guess what? I said, I'm going to be the first guy to call you after day one. I said, I'm going to say, yep, told you so. They don't listen. And again, that's fine, because again, I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes just to get you here. I know that there's certain guys that can make money here doing this, and almost everybody can. But some of them may be backing out because they're afraid of getting exposed too. Because they know that maybe they're weak. Maybe they know in one-on-ones they're going to get taken advantage of. And the agent goes, no, let's not do that. I get that. But that's my biggest issue. They also didn't tell me, Todd, that I'm the unofficial mayor of Mobile. They didn't tell me that.
We could have told you that.
Yeah, we knew that.
Did you know that I'd be speaking at the Rotary Club at 7 a.m. this morning?
It comes with the territory, man. But there's great restaurants in Mobile, Alabama. It's
no doubt.
It's one of the most underrated cuisine places in the country, and you get to eat basically for free for a long time. So it's the trade-off.
And the people have always been great down there. Always been great.
Because they've always embraced this game, And I kid around with them. I always say, is this a football game with a cocktail party or a cocktail party with a football game?
Oh, it's a cocktail party with a football game. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, and they enjoy it. Which is great because, heck, it's going to sell out again. It is. There's no doubt it's going to sell out. So
that's why every other All-Star game has bounced from city to city, state to state, and this stays at its rightful home in Mobile, Alabama. I do one last thing, and you just touched on it. Every year, I've always said 2 things about the Senior Bowl. You leave there, and actually it probably doesn't take until Wednesday. 2 things that I always have been able to take from it, among other things, but 2 things that jump out. One is the cream rises pretty fast. You can and you can, unfortunately, sometimes agents get in those players' head and like, you're clearly the best player here. You practice, 2 practices or 1 practice, and it's time to go, which is absurd. And tells you a little bit about the individual and who they're hiring to be their agent. However, the other thing that I always get is there are always second rounders that become first, third that becomes second. Like there's always like a handful of guys who you knew were players, and then you saw him there. You're like, oh, he's even better than I thought. Are there any guys this year? And I don't want to put you on a spot because obviously every player here is an opportunity to rise. But are there a few guys that you have your eye on? Like, I think this guy is vastly underrated by what I'm seeing online or what people kind of think about him. I think that at the end of next week, people are going to be talking about him as almost more of a household name when it comes to the 26 NFL draft.
Ooh. Malik Muhammad.
Yeah.
I mentioned Demings. I mean, he's already a household name, but I think that Jacob Rodriguez is going to kind of show that he's more complete than people think. I think there's one that can wreck a game, and if some defensive coordinator can figure out exactly how to use him, it's Kyle Lewis from Pitt.
Really?
Yeah. Is he a big nickel? Is he a will backer? Is he a money backer? Because he's impactful. And I mean, lined up against him for 2 years. And I was like, you need to account for this guy. I mean, everywhere, and I think that's one that nobody really is talking about at all.
Yeah.
And he's got a little Levante David to him, which, because Levante was about his size. Matter of fact, Levante was a little bit lighter than him because Kyle Lewis looks like he's 210 and he's 225 and he's probably going to be 228 when he gets here. Now we got to see if he can play will backer and play in the box. If he can do that, he's a money backer, but he could be a nickel Sam too, or he could be a big nickel. I mean, so we're exposed.
He runs like a safety. I mean, he covers like
no doubt. He's just a little tight to be a safety. I mean, I'm saying the big nickel's a little different, and all that. The other one that I think is just like nobody even knows about is Vinny Anthony from Wisconsin. I mean, nobody. They had issues at quarterback. I mean, big issues.
Yeah.
And, if the ball was 5 feet close to him, he was happy because he wasn't getting a lot of looks. He wasn't getting a lot of balls, but he's big and fast. He's good in and out of his routes. He could use a little bit of strength, but I think that, him being in training and everything else, I think he's going to come down and people are going to go, wait a minute, who's that guy? Because there's nobody talking about him. I mean, nobody. Romello Height is, I bet, maybe the surprise of the guys coming off the edge this year down here, because he's that sub rusher. I mean, the worst he is a situational pass rusher teams guy. That's the worst he is. And
how big is he going to be, do you think?
See, I think he's only going to be about 238 pounds tops.
Parcells is screaming at you.
He is, but again,
I thought he might be smaller.
Situational pass rusher.
Yes, no,
I thought he might be smaller. So I actually think that's a good number. That's a good number for him. If he gets around that 240 range, I think that's a good number for him.
Maybe, but I don't know if he'll get there.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to say he was probably 222 right in there during the year. I'm guessing he maybe.
Yeah, that's what he was in the spring, I think.
Yeah. See, so but he's a special rusher. He just had a dude. I mean, they played off each other well. But put it this way, that was no different than when we had DeMarcus Ware and Anthony Spencer. I mean,
yeah.
D. Ware was putting up double digits. Well, guess what? Anthony Spencer was too. They just weren't 19. They were more like 10.
Yeah.
So, there was always that, hey, Anthony Spencer, you should have been better, but Anthony Spencer was good too. So, I mean, when you got two rushers just like Messidor and Bain, I mean, they play off each other and some guy gets more push than others and some guy gets, flushed to a different guy. So those are the ones, Todd. I mean, I could give you three more that I think, could possibly be that, but we don't have enough time.
Yeah, I appreciate. Especially we're but now looking into changing our flights. We might be coming down on Saturday night. Means one more night. Maybe is it Chuck's Fish? Is it Noble South? I don't know. These are good problems to have, though. These are good problems to have.
And I'm going to give you another one, the dumbwaiter next to the next. Oh,
I love that. We love the dumbwaiter.
Right?
Yeah.
And here's one too. Now, if you got time,
now you're speaking my language, Drew. Where?
Noja.
Oh yes.
That's truly. And again, like you said, there are two in this town, and I traveled everywhere. And I got a list of everywhere I went in the country. I've got like a list of restaurants everywhere. There are two down here that are my top 10, and one of them you mentioned.
Yeah.
Chuck's. Yeah. I mean,
Chris Eatings is my guy. So
and I'll tell you this: here's what he said. His biggest revenue all year last year was the Wednesday night that they didn't have interviews. And I said, how would you like to have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? He said, can I get you? See, I wasn't going to plug him, but we ended up plugging him anyway. You know?
Unbelievable backstory too, with his mom and the sushi and how she was found at a little sushi shop by Chuck. And anyway, all right, we're excited if you can't tell. And we truly do appreciate your time. I know it's insane this week with all the roster movement, the travel and everything else, but we appreciate your time. And it's hard to find two bigger fans of the Senior Bowl and that have more appreciation for what you're doing, because it truly is. The draft does start in Mobile, and it truly is a critical part of this process that we all love. So,
I agree, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate you guys too. Hope you got
it, man. We'll see you down there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.